Welcome to the RAG Podcast, the weekly show where I interview recruitment owners who are prepared to tell their unique story of growth. This is all in aid of helping future and existing recruitment businesses who are looking to do similar things. Now, growth means different things to different people. So, by tuning in every week, you're no doubt going to find information that's relevant to you. On this week's episode, I'm joined by Leon Mitton. Leon is the founder of Agnes Cole Consulting, a specialist SAP and S4 HANA recruitment business, headquartered in the UK but operating globally. In this episode, we talk about Leon's journey from absolute humble beginnings with no background in any business. He also started a cleaning business before he got into recruitment, and then his journey to launching a company in the peak of COVID and building something that's truly impressive. Now, what he's doing now is he's doubling down on AI. Leon's built a AI agent that effectively can make 400 interactive outbound calls per day with clients and candidates and unlimited inbound responses. And you might think it won't be as good as a person. Trust me, it's as good as a person. You want to listen to this episode. So let's get into it. Without further ado, Leon, welcome to the RAG.
Hey, what's up? Thanks for having me.
Mate, I've wanted you on for ages, but it just never happened.
I know, right? I don't know why. I think it's just been a mixture of you're busy, I'm busy, a lot going on. Last year was a challenging year for everyone, I think, in recruitment. So it was like focus.
Head down.
But this was something that has definitely been on my list.
Well, you're here now. So do us a favour. Look, people might not know you if they don't.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want the detailed story, just the high level of who the business are and what you actually recruit, and then we'll go back and tell the story.
Cool. So Leon Mitton, director and founder of Agnes Cole Consulting. So we specialize in IT and SAP recruitment around the UK, Europe, and US, basically. Well, and a bit of India as well. So really on a global scale.
Yeah. And how many people you got in the team now?
So there's 8 of us in the team now.
Based in
Colchester, Essex.
Yeah. Do you live out in Ipswich though?
I live in between Colchester and Essex and Ipswich.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. So, when did you get into recruitment?
I started recruitment about 5 years ago now, 6 years ago.
Is that it?
Yeah.
You didn't have a big, long story.
No, I
before you
didn't.
started?
So I think my recruitment journey is actually quite unique, or my journey to founder, I think, is quite different.
Tell us.
So probably have to start at the very, very beginning. I've always been into business. So I had a commercial cleaning business when I was younger, when I was 21.
Right.
Me and my little brother, that was the first thing that we done. Finished school, didn't have no qualifications, worked in retail for a bit and was like, what are we going to do now? So we was like, right, we know how to clean. We're African. Our mum taught us how to clean. That was all we could do. Didn't have a GCSE between us. So we were like, right, cool, let's do that. Had about 500 quid and we started a commercial cleaning business.
So you two actually were the cleaners?
We were the cleaners in the beginning, yeah. It was called Fairy Godbrothers. Yeah, literally. And do you know what? I really enjoyed it. We did that for about 4 or 5 years. And
did you build a team? And
yeah. By the time...
You're recruiting really, aren't you?
Absolutely. So it was funny because by the time we got rid of it, we had 30 cleaners that were on the books. But I have to be completely honest, that was a nightmare. In the beginning, when it was just me and him, it was easy.
Yeah.
Because we were actually doing the cleaning and we handled it and we cared. And, cleaning is one of those things that you actually have to go in and you have to do, like, the brand is what you've produced there and then. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So in the beginning, it was super easy. But then when we scaled and we got to 20, 30 people, it was really, really challenging because we had people, 3-4 hours from where we lived. You might get a phone call on the day and say, I quit today. I don't want to do it anymore. I've had an argument with my missus. I'm going down the pub. And I'm like, oh, no. It's Sunday evening and I've got to cover 3 sites. So, sometimes I'd, leave my house at like 6, 7 o'clock on a Sunday evening and I'll be cleaning until 1 a.m.
Wow. Just to fill the opportunity.
Just to fill it. But to be honest, it was one of those things that was probably the best thing that could have happened to me because I made so many mistakes in that business. Just didn't read contracts properly, got done over, hired just anyone, basically. I remember having interviews for people in Costa. Like, I went on the job centre and looked for people that were looking for cleaning jobs and just spoke to them and just said, the first person I spoke to, meet me in Costa. Boom, they've got the key to my client's office now, which when I think about it now, it's mad.
Yeah.
Madness. Do you know what I mean? But there were so many mistakes.
Is this out in Colchester?
So it was all around East Anglia.
Yeah.
Started off in Colchester and it was just me and Quinton. And then in the end, it was all over East Anglia. So we covered Norwich, Lowestoft, Chelmsford, Southend, all the way up to like Basildon.
Right. My stepmom had a cleaning business, very similar when I was young.
Really?
She's the only entrepreneur I knew. I think I met her when I was about 13, 14. And she had this little MG convertible.
Yeah.
I didn't know anyone with a convertible either. I was like, wow, she's got a bit of cash. And it was a cleaning business. And that was my first job, was putting flyers through doors in estates. And then I used to have to, she'd send out letters and I used to have to write the address and lick the stamp and lick the back of the envelopes. It was horrible, but she paid me pretty well. But yeah, I remember, she doesn't do it anymore. She became a software developer and then she's an SEO expert and she's done really well. But
Super cool.
The work ethic I saw her run that business with was pretty impressive, and I think it takes a certain type of person to
absolutely I remember when I first started, I was a bit like, oh, and my uncle said to me, where there's brass there's gold, so do it. And I was like, okay, cool, just pushed ahead.
What sort of money did you make?
We done all right. I mean, nothing in comparison to like recruitment.
Yeah.
You know, I think like it was me and him. I think our biggest turnover year was around about 80 or 90K or something like that, which for us is like 22, 23 was like big money.
Yeah.
We moved out, we lived together. Like, so my brother still works with me now.
Really?
Yeah, he works with me now in Agnes Cole. But yeah, that
Is he
was
older
like,
or younger?
He's younger than me.
Yeah.
That was at the beginning. And then after that, as I say, I fell out of love with cleaning. It got too much, as I say. It got to the point where I was like, I'm working so hard, I'm not making that much money.
No.
You know, I was making money, of course, you know, but it was just really challenging. So sold the business to my auntie for pennies, but I was like, just take it. I've had enough. I don't want to do this anymore. She continued it. And then...
She can clean.
She can clean. She's African. That's one thing we know how to do. We can clean. So, offloaded it to my auntie. And then I took a little break. And I remember at the time, my missus was infatuated with suits.
Yeah.
And I remember watching the show and thinking, this is pretty cool. I want to wear a suit. Do you know what I mean? I want to wear a suit.
I want to be Harvey Specter.
Yeah, literally. Like, I thought I want to wear a suit. And I got a job in a sales company selling software. And that was really good. I enjoyed that. The director of that business he came from a recruitment background. So the company was very modeled like a 360 recruitment company. Like what you did is win the business, pitch what it was that you're doing and then do the account management. So it was fun. Did that for a bit. My missus got pregnant and the company was a startup, so they were having some issues. And I thought this isn't really sustainable. Had a chat with a few of my mates and they were in recruitment. And I remember speaking to someone and I heard how much they were making from technology recruitment and I was like, whoa, okay, cool. I want to try that. And then, yeah.
So where did you go?
I joined a company called Red.
Red
Commerce. Yeah. They're probably the largest SAP provider in the UK, maybe even in the world.
London, or did you?
It was in London, yeah. It was in London, and that was great. I loved Red. You know, it was such a learning curve for me because it was like massive organization, and it was like, you go in there and it was like, I remember when I was having my interview and someone done a deal and I could hear the music pumping and everyone, I was like, where am I right now? What is this? But whatever it is, I want some, and joined there, started off doing delivery, done well, quickly got promoted, started doing sales. But then I looked at it and I thought, this company had been established for 20 odd years. They were very niche down, 20 odd years, very niche down into SAP. And there wasn't really much growth for someone new. The whole organization was one of those companies where, if you speak to a customer, you log it on the system, this next person can't speak to them for the next 3 months. Right. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And all the good accounts were occupied. So I started thinking, let's see what else out there.
A bit of a limit.
Yeah, a bit of a limit. There was a ceiling. I could see the ceiling. The people that were doing well.
Had you been billing there okay? Doing
okay. But I was still learning the ropes. To be honest, I always had, when I started doing that, I thought to myself, 5 years, and then I'm going to do my own thing. So that's what I said to myself. I said, 5 years, I'm going to do my own thing. 5 years. So at Red, that was fun, enjoyed it, as I say. And then Rec to Rec reached out to me and was like, there's a company and they're building out an SAP desk. Would you be interested in it? And I was like, absolutely. So went for the interview, was nowhere near ready for that role. Nowhere near. But somehow got it. Somehow, I don't know how I done it, but I got it. Joined that company and things were going okay for the first couple of months and then COVID hit.
Yeah.
So I had probably all in all maybe a year's worth of business development experience at tops then, and then COVID hit and it was the most difficult time in recruitment. So it was just super, super challenging.
Did they put you on furlough or not?
No, I worked. I was one of the only people. I speak to people. I never had a day of furlough.
No, I mean,
not a day of furlough. Like I worked every single
I think if
day.
anything, I worked harder that period than I've ever done.
Mate, that was.
But it was
fun.
great.
Yeah,
the weather was
absolutely.
amazing, and you didn't have to commute, and you just got up and you got on with it, didn't you?
A lot of brick walls, hitting a lot of brick walls. But I think that's what makes.
People were open to talking though, even if it wasn't
Yeah.
about doing any business. They
Yeah.
were, everyone wanted to communicate and connect because we all felt isolated. It was I mean, I'm quite in a weird way. I mean, it's not a good thing to say, and I don't mean it for people's lives, but in a way, I'm quite happy it happened in my life.
Same. Weirdly.
In the journey. I don't want people to have died at scale.
Absolutely.
But it definitely changed my trajectory in the right direction.
Same. Exactly the same for me. So I had a little boy, and my son was very young. I went from getting up every day at 6 a.m. and getting home at 8:30.
I literally posted about this yesterday.
Yeah, to just like being at home and being like sitting still.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? With my missus and my son, and it was at that time it was the best thing that could happen to me.
I posted about this yesterday because I got back from Dubai on Sunday night, and then it was late, and I got on the train before my daughter even got up, and I was like, "Fuck!" Like it really hit me. Like, and I'm not back till Wednesday night. She'll be asleep, so I'm not gonna see her till Thursday. And it really hit me like that was normal.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like for me now, I have this 80-20 balance where I'm like 80% of the time I want to work from home, I want to be available, I want to see my daughter, I want to see my kids, step-kids, have breakfast, lunch, dinner, and I do. And every now and again, it swings more than 20% away, and I feel it. But it was always the other way. It was 80 to 90% out, 10-20% at home, and I think it was just accepted back then. But
Absolutely.
fuck, I hate it now.
That was the norm. Going to the gym on your lunch.
Yeah.
Because that's the only time that you had.
Yeah.
Because you're getting home at 8:30, 9 o'clock at night, have dinner, speak to your missus for half an hour, go to sleep, wake up the next day, do it all again.
Yeah.
I hated it. And to be fair, I say I hated it. Upon reflection, I hated it. But at the time, it was just like, this is normal.
You just did it.
This is what we do, you know? So, yeah, I ended up I had that period of working at home during COVID. And as I say, it was the best thing for me. Hit a lot of brick walls, didn't get anywhere. And it was a case of last one in, first one out kind of thing. So I left that business. Well, yeah, it's the only company, one of the only companies I've ever been sacked from.
Yeah.
So I got sacked from there. One of the only.
Yeah, I left that bit.
I got sacked. But you know what? It was fair. And I still speak to the directors that were there now because they were really nice guys, and it was only fair. You know, at the time, I remember I was like really emotional about it because I had this vision in my head that I was going to build something. I was really emotional. But when I think about it now and looking back as the business owner, it was the right thing to do.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You know.
You've got an expensive resource.
Exactly.
It just reminds me of a story, totally off topic, but when my little brother was young, I had a job at Morrison's after working for my stepmom, and then he just followed everything I did, my little brother. He got into recruitment and everything. But he went on holiday to Malia.
Yep.
And then he got back, and then we went to Turkey as a family, and he just didn't tell Morrison's and just went away. So he's done 4 weeks off, not told them. Anyway, so we get back, and he's like, I'm not even going back in. And Mum was like, you're going in. Yeah. Like, we have got values in this family.
Yeah.
Like, drove him to the door, kicked him out the car.
Yep.
And then we just waited in the car, and he came back, sat down.
Got sacked.
And but it's the way that he said they spoke to him, and he was only like 17, and they said, right, Jake, so that's a summary dismissal.
Yep.
And he said he just nodded and went, so have I been sacked? And they're like, yeah. He's like, all right, nice one. Just walked out. It's the way he had to clarify.
Yeah.
So have I been sacked?
Fired.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then
So did you set up straight off then?
No. Then I joined another company, which was a startup. Learnt the ropes there, and then I don't know. I was thinking about this earlier. I don't think I'm a very good passenger. When I think about it, the kind of person that I am, and I think it takes a certain type of person to be an entrepreneur, which I don't know if we really have that skills, that thing in you that makes you a good passenger.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
You know, I think. So I kind of clashed sometimes with certain team members when I was there. It was a good company, and I enjoyed my time, but got to a point where I was like, right, this isn't for me anymore. And then I was looking for a new job, thinking about what to do, and then my missus was like, why don't you just go out on your own? Which is crazy. If you knew we're so different, she's like super risk adverse. Like she's the person that says, no, don't do that. No, she sort of balances me because I'm like over it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I would have started with 2 months experience.
Yeah.
Because I don't know. It's like, I don't know. Sometimes it's like crazy self-belief, which is a bit much because sometimes the skill set isn't there to match it. In the beginning anyway. So then, she said that to me, and that was basically all I needed. And I thought, you know, worst case scenario, I'll give it a go. If it works out, great. If it doesn't, I can just get a job again life continues. And that was it.
So talk us through that process then of how you set up and what time of year was it?
That was in the summer. It was towards the end of summer.
2021?
Yes, towards the end of summer. So we incorporated on the
Good time.
3rd
Market
of August.
was picking up.
Market was really, really good then. And it was me on my kitchen table, just doing it, man. I remember I thought, right, what do I need? Sort of brought me back to like the cleaning days, because I thought to myself, right, what do I need? I need a laptop, I need a phone, I need a VoIP system, I need LinkedIn Recruiter, and that's it. And I'll get going. And that was it, mate. And got some early wins, and just from there, just continued and continued and continued. Year one was one of those years that, when it leads you to a false sense of security where you think everything is just gonna be like, because everything I did that year just worked out. Everything. It was mad. Like, and I was talking to my mate. Like, just everything. Just like, I don't know, clients that I'd approach, like, yep, sweet, yeah, no, we'll chuck you on the PSL. Yeah. Big clients that I'd been trying to pitch for months before. Yeah, cool, yeah, let's go. Do you know what I mean? And just, people on the market, and it just worked out well. Everything just worked out. I got to the end of the year and I was like, wow, I've built like 300 grand here on my own, more or less. It was me and one other. Me and an ops girl, that was it.
Yeah, and, it was not even billing.
Nah, it was just me. I just
and you're at home with your kid?
No, I got a little office.
Did you?
I got a little office after like 3 months because I wanted to just have that separation of home and work. So
were you there 5 days a week though?
Yeah. But it was funny because when I think about it now, I used to go in like super late. I used to go in at like 10:30, leave at like 4, because it was just me. Yeah. I'd be working anyway, but like it was just very. It's funny, like the stages of the business. Like that year, first year, it wasn't really a business. That first year, it was just me doing recruitment, basically. Which the next year was also relatively good. Relatively good. Well, it was good. I think we did about 600K in billings, so I was happy about that. Our team had grown a little bit. There was about 4 of us. And I was like super ambitious. I'm like, right.
Where'd the name come from, Agnes Cole?
So Agnes is my mum. She passed away. So when she passed away 6 or 7 years ago. And I just thought, I wanna have something that means something to me.
Amazing.
So Agnes is my mum, and then Nicole is my sister.
Oh wow.
So Agnes Cole put it together.
I love that.
Yeah. I've got another sister, and she was like, why is my name not in there? I was like, don't worry, the next one is you.
Yeah. Start a whole new brand.
I'll start a whole other brand, and I'll name it after you.
And then your wife, your kids.
Yeah. So that was, 2 was good. It was good as well, as I say. It was one of those things where it was...
How did you need to evolve? Because you've never managed a big team.
No.
You're doing it all in your own cash. You've done the cleaning stuff, but how did you need to change in year 2? Or did you change in year 2?
Really, really good question. I think a lot of year 2 was, again, the team was small enough, and it was, my brother joined, and it was 2 people that I knew previously that I had worked with before, so it was all right. It was quite small. It was easy to manage. I think in myself, I didn't really change much. I just continued and, thought about, I was quite lucky, right? Because throughout the years, I've had some really good managers and some good sort of leaders that I've continued to be in communication with. So if I ever had a really big problem, I'd pick up the phone and call one of my old directors and be like, can you help me, please? This has happened. Yeah. That's happened, or I'm in this situation, what would you do, kind of thing. So I got quite lucky in the sense that I got a lot of support from there's only really one guy. My guy, Mike. Mike, wherever you are, where's the I appreciate you, Mike. Help me out. So yeah, I think for me, I didn't really change that much. It wasn't until year 3 that we scaled properly. We got to about 11, 12 people in the business, and then that was the messy middle, and last year was that year where it was like, whoa, different personalities, HR, like everything, like properly thinking about how the business is going to grow and brand. That's when I reached out to you, because that's when I started thinking about brand and, what it is who are we? What do we stand for? And that's when I started to actually develop as a leader, To go back to what you said earlier about never managing people, I think weirdly, that's probably one of my better skills, like just quite naturally. I'm a people person. I like to consider myself a people person. And I think what I did in the early years, which was probably to a detriment, is I was nice, but probably nice to a fault, if that makes sense. Because one of the things that I'm big on is we have a no dickhead policy in our company. Don't like dickheads, because I'm not a dickhead. You know, I'm nice to everyone. I try and be nice to everyone. You know, try and be respectful to everyone. And I think sometimes that can then go a step too far and it starts to be the other way. You know, but one of the things that was, as I say, for me, the biggest learning curve was who to choose and how to manage people, how to properly motivate people, you know, without being a dickhead.
I think if I look back at my story, I mean, it's funny because me and Amma were both ex-recruiters. Mm-hmm. And even though on the surface, if you met Amma, he's a lot calmer than me, probably. I'm a bit more outgoing. I'm not even outgoing. I'm more extroverted. Mm-hmm. I like the camera. I like the content. He's not really that bothered about this. Mm-hmm. But neither of us are actually people managers, really.
You don't think so?
No. Like I think we're very good at leading people and inspiring people. But when it comes to like the nuts and bolts of objectives and action plans and following through on things over periods of time, I think we're not good at it. Like, we're just not. And I think I'd like to get better, but I'm pretty happy now that I'm comfortable in the fact that it's just not my superpower. Like, people around me are way better than me at that.
I get that, definitely. I remember the first time I had to do a performance review, and I didn't even know what went into a performance review because I've never been on it. I didn't know what goes into a pitch.
Yeah, when someone's at that point.
When someone's at that point, I just didn't understand. I didn't know, you know.
You just got fired without it.
Yeah.
Could have at least given you a bit.
So get out of here. Yeah. No, but honestly, you know, so it was one of those. It's challenging to try and find the right balance, and yeah.
So what were the symptoms then that you called it the messy middle, which I think is a really cool statement. What were the symptoms that things were getting messy when you get to that 10 to 12 heads?
I think it was around. You said earlier about motivating everyone. You know, I felt like I thought what I did was, right, I hired people that I thought, right, come from this big company and they're just gonna come in and they're gonna build, because that's what everyone does. And you know, that wasn't the case, not because that they weren't good at what they did or whatever. It's just the market wasn't the best, and also I think there is a part of me that could have probably done better as well to motivate to push that. But I think, I don't know. You can just see it. People start to be a bit more, you know, and yeah, just like little things, you know, and chatter, you know, a lot of clicks form. You see the clicks forming.
I think that's a really difficult thing to manage, especially in offices. Like, I don't think I've ever experienced it since we went remote. Mm-hmm. You get people that naturally talk to each other more than others, but even when we meet up on a global basis, like it's just so like it's bitch free. Yeah. Whereas when we had an office in London and we were together and there was like 15, 16 people, there was always little micro
little groups, and
just tell
this one
people
doesn't like
this
one and this and this.
And they'd walk off at lunch to Sainsbury's and moan and it's that kind of stuff I don't like.
Yeah, I agree, and this is why, like, when I look back at the journey, year 2 was so much fun because it was a lot smaller team
and everyone was just
everyone got along.
Yeah,
you know, not that year 3 wasn't fun. Year 3 was probably my favorite year because I've learned so much. I had crazy plans for this year, which because we didn't have the year that we should have had last year, I'm not able to do this year now. And I kind of sat there and thought, okay, take stock of the situation and be like, what do I actually want from this business?
Yeah.
You know, what do I want? Do I want to build a company that has 50 employees but be miserable? No. Do I want to have something that is leaner and more agile and have fun and get up and go to work and be like excited about it? Absolutely. That's what I want. Because that's why I started doing this. Because I wanted to have the freedom, and I also want, not even just the freedom, I think I wanted to build something where people are motivated and happy, you know. I think recruitment is one of those areas that, like I said, we're a no dickhead company, and I think recruitment is an area that there's a lot of dickheads sometimes, man. You come across some idiots, you know. And I think I wanted to have like a safe place, you know.
So what happened at the end of last year? Like, did you cut the team down? Did you make some changes?
Yeah, we cut the team. We made some changes. And I think it was the best for us as a business and the best for the people as well, you know, which was, yeah. And moving forward, I can see I have more of a clearer plan now, as I say. It was good to take stock, because I think what would have happened is last year, if we would have had the year that I was projecting, this year would have been like, right, let's go. I would have hired 20 people this year, you know. And I think when you get to when you jump from there to there, that would have been absolutely horrible, you know. So I'm one of these people that nothing's ever a loss, everything's always a lesson, you know. I love a lesson, and I learned a lot from last year, which is actually my favorite year.
So how do you describe like what the business should give to you? So for example, if I look at my life, I've got like, I want to be around my family. Like I want to see my daughter. I want to see my stepkids. I want to see my wife every single day. So the business needs to give me that. Like say 80% of the time. You know, I want to be motivated, and I want to wake up every morning feeling like I'm doing something that I actually believe in and I'm good at, and I'm moving towards something. It's fulfillment. I want my clients to feel like they're getting a good service. I want my team to feel like they're enjoying it, and I want to make money.
Absolutely. For me, it's probably very, very similar. I mean, when I look at recruitment, what recruitment actually is, for me, it's like it's a cheat code to print money if you do it correctly.
Yeah.
You know, so for me, it's like the recruitment is like the vehicle to get me to that next part of life. You know, in an ideal world, I want to have loads of different businesses. I want to be in a position where, you know, my original team that are with me now are, you know, they're in a position where they're thriving, and, you know, because everyone's got interests outside of recruitment. You know, we're all good at it, but everyone's got interests outside of recruitment. My brother's infatuated with property. Keeps saying to me, let's buy property, let's buy property, let's buy property. Cool, right? Let's get to a point where we've got enough money that you can go and buy property. You know, one of my colleagues, Jake, he's infatuated with investments and like stocks and all that stuff. I don't do none of that stuff. You know, cool. Let's be in a position where we build a group. Let's build a group where we can go and be all financially free and support our families and, you know, create, you know, as cheesy as it sounds, and generational wealth. You know, I came from nothing.
Same.
You know, and I want to be in a position where when I leave this earth, my children have something where you know, there's a legacy. They think, you know, we're in a position where we've got a bit of a leg up.
Yeah.
So that's what I want. You know.
How do you create the fire in your kids though? Because that's my question. How do I create? I've just, you know, I fly the kids to Dubai. We do all these things. We do cool. You know, we're living a life I never had.
I was thinking about.
How do you create the hunger in them?
I don't know if you can create that. If I'm being completely frank, I don't know if it's something that you can create. I think it's born into you. And I don't know if it might not be my son, right? It might be my sister's child, or it might be my brother's son, or it might be whoever. Yeah. But I would like to be in a position where we have a group, and when I'm gone, there's someone that can take over that and continue to push it forward. I genuinely don't think you can be, like, I don't think you can create. I don't think you can. I don't think so. I don't think you can create it.
I think what I'm trying to do is trying to explain it. So I'm trying to, like, you know, we do nice things, and I'm trying to explain how, rather than it just Sean does that like that. Well, yeah, but Sean never did that. We never had any of this stuff. So like, it's trying to explain and when they see me get up in the crack of dawn and go to London and come back, and I'm like, these are the things I'm doing, and this is how I'm trying to explain it. And the kids are 10 and 11, my stepkids, things go over their head, but there's things that stick.
When they get older, they'll pick it up, though.
There's things that stick.
To be honest, they will. I mean, if I go back to before we had the cleaning business, my mum used to have an African food shop, you know, and that was like, you know, you said earlier that your auntie was the only entrepreneur that you knew. I was raised around people that just wanted to do their own thing.
Immigration.
Yeah, absolutely.
A lot of immigrants have come with that mindset.
Absolutely. My mom moved here with 3 children and no money and built a life.
Where in Africa?
Zimbabwe.
Right.
You know, no money, 3 children and built a life.
Wow.
And that it just gets you to the point. I think you think differently. And I remember being young, actually, me and my brother, we used to go around the estate with like a bucket and sponges, knock on people's doors and ask them if we could clean their cars in the summer. You know, £10 a car or £5 a car. You know, and when I look back at it now,
you don't see that now.
Yeah.
No kids knock on my. I'd pay.
A kid knocked on my door recently, actually, and said about cleaning cars, and I was absolutely. I gave him 20 quid. I was like, absolutely. They've done a terrible job.
Yeah, well, that's all right.
I done a terrible job,
yeah.
But it was cool. It's fine.
Yeah.
You know, you're trying to do something for yourself, and I love that. Yeah, and that's what we used to do. So when I think about it, I think, yeah, it's. I don't know if it's something that you can really teach. I think it's just in you, but also with the stuff that you see around you, and I think your children with you.
It's the environment.
Seeing you get up in the morning and travel into work, and my son's 6, but he knows Daddy does recruitment. You know, he knows that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what's recruitment? And he's like, I don't know. He doesn't know yet,
Yeah.
but, you know, hopefully.
Well, I've got that little office, and I with like the pink lights and my neon.
Yeah.
And my daughter's school is like 200 meters away, so the kids all walk past our house to go home, and she keeps getting like, "Why does your they think I'm a dad, stepdad? Why's your dad got a TikTok room?"
Yeah.
TikTok room. I was like,
My dad's on TikTok.
Yeah, well, I've got a TikTok
Yeah,
account.
that's cool. I love it.
It ain't a TikTok room, but I'm like, yeah, just a YouTuber.
Yeah,
But they know what? When I first met the kids, because obviously they were about 6 and 8 when we moved in. When I first met them, I moved in with them a few months later.
Yep.
My stepson Gabriel was like, "You're famous."
Yeah.
I said, "What?" First thing, "I've seen you on the telly." I said, "Oh, really?" So Lauren had shown him like some of the Hoxo YouTube.
I love that.
"You're famous, aren't you?"
I love that.
And then last week we're in Dubai, and I'm literally at the airport and getting my bag on, taking my belt off at security, and I get a tap, and it's a recruitment owner that I don't actually know, but I know through LinkedIn. He's like, "Sean Anderson." I was like, "Yeah," like.
And the kids are like, "You are famous."
And yeah, they were like, "Oh, he's done it again." I was like, LinkedIn branding.
No, I love that.
Baby.
I love
Yeah.
that.
I'm interrupting today's episode to talk about our sponsor, Atlas, the only AI-first recruitment platform on the market. Now, imagine you had a genuine assistant following you around, listening to everything you said on the phone or in meetings, and then doing all the admin for you that you don't want to do. Well, that is actually possible now through Atlas CRM. It's the only platform with fully integrated AI, so there's no note-taking whatsoever and no need to buy any additional software. Now, they've got so many amazing features. Specifically, you can be the most knowledgeable partner to your clients. If your client has a clarification on a candidate, for example, you can give that clarification to Atlas and it will answer for you. And again, it's pulling data from every interaction you've had with that person, not just the CV. So you get a much deeper level of information than your competition. Okay, so Atlas is brand new to the market and launching so rapidly. For the first 200 members, they are offering what's called a founder's license, okay? And the founder's license is going to be a 40% discount for life, okay? And it's only for the first 200. Now, if you want to be in the first 200, you're listening to this episode through the RAG, you're going to have a great chance. Go to www.recruitwithatlas.com/the RAG and sign up on that page. All right, let's get back to the show.
It's just so, I think for me, it's like, I'm trying to make things intentional.
Yeah.
I don't want things to just happen. Like I want to create the life, I want to create the wealth, but I want to intentionally bring them on that journey and show them and experience it with them, as opposed to me just running around making a lot of money and going, "Oh, you just got a private school or whatever." Like, it's not the way we're going to.
What are your thoughts on private school?
I didn't do it. I didn't know anyone who did. The people that I've met since have got incredible networks, like their friends from school's dads and stuff. The networks that you have, I'm like, wow, that'd be pretty cool.
Would you put your children into private school?
We bought a house 200 meters from the door of the newest and best results school in the country outside of London. So it's called the Mercier School in Sheffield, and it's like, it's 6 years old, built for like, they took everything of all the schools in the country into consideration and built this brand new school. So there's no kids. So 6 years ago, it was just a lot of year sevens. So you think, imagine what they could mold. They molded them without any influence from older kids. So you go there now, and every kid's like, there's no phones, there's no running in the corridors, there's no screaming. Everyone says hello to you, polite. The kids are so smart. Their GCSE result blow the whole city out of the water.
And it's a public school.
It's free, yeah, but it's in a community that I live opposite, and I'm like, I'm not convinced I'd get much more from, because the people that are moving into my area now to put their kids there are the same people that were paying private school fees, and they're not getting, there's no VAT on it. So I think I'm quite lucky where I've put myself. I don't think that we'd need to. We've thought about living in Dubai, which, if it was up to me completely without them having a dad in the UK, we'd be there now. And I think, you'd pay the school fees with the tax that you save here, so it would probably work out the same. But the schools over there, I believe, are pretty good, but there's a lot of entitlement in those schools. Again, I just don't know how to relate to it. I don't know about you. I didn't grow up in that world.
So that's probably the same for me. I don't think I'll ever be in a position where I'd send my children to private school. Not because there's anything wrong with that, and as you said earlier, I think the contacts that you make from that are amazing. But I think going to a public school and meeting people from all walks of life just gives you a different way of looking at the world.
I do worry about the school system though, because it's not built for the current, like we're going to talk about AI, right? It's not built with any of that in mind, right? So the whole school system, and obviously I'm in it, I'm looking at my daughter's homework, and it's insane how much work she's doing. But it's built for a world that they're not entering. So she's like, oh yeah, my my teacher said I should be a graphic designer. I was like, that won't even be a job when you get to 17. Like, it'll all be AI. And she's like, oh, all right, well, what am I supposed to do then? I was like, well, I don't know yet, but we're gonna go on this journey. But the system is teaching kids to retain information when it's at the click of a button. Like, yeah, you need to know a bit, but I think the state that's where maybe the private school system you'd think might be able to innovate faster because they've got the capital to do that. They're not restricted. The system that is just the public system it's still built for the industrial age, which was
I mean it might adapt and it might change over time, but to be honest, if it does, it does. If it doesn't, it's down to us as parents to be able to
move them on
and say, look, this is. Because I genuinely think about what I obviously I learned stuff from school. Do you know what I learned from school? This is going to sound mad. I went to 9 different schools when I was younger, moved around a lot. And I learned how to communicate with people through school. Because I went to so many different schools. I took, like, every few years I was making new friends. That's what weirdly put me in the position that I'm in now, because all I do is talk to people all day.
Yeah.
And when I was younger, I was forced to become friends with people, new people that I'm meeting, and just, and that's probably my biggest takeaway from school. My whole school time, I done half alright in GCSEs, okay, but it's probably my biggest takeaway is that I just learned how to communicate and met different people, because I had friends that in different schools. I had friends that were really affluent, and then other friends that were just like me, working class families, and and then you meet some kids that are in between there. And as time goes on, you meet their parents and so on and so forth, and everyone, and then you learn how to. Yeah.
And then when you go out in the big world, you can quickly, you try to associate to people in their own way and build rapport in a different way.
Absolutely, and I think that's a superpower. I think people don't value that enough of a superpower. Being able to build rapport with people and communicate with people on their level is such a powerful tool.
Yeah.
For me, I think that's probably my biggest asset.
So let's go back to work then, in terms of where the business is now. How much are you still out there, like speaking to customers, speaking to candidates, doing the recruitment job?
I am. I'll probably say I'm probably more of a glorified account director now, if that makes sense. Do you know what I mean? I don't really do new business too much. I've got guys that do new business and they do it really, really well. I'm more of a glorified account director now. So I speak to customers, rarely speak to candidates, but when I do, I enjoy it. In the summer last year, we had some holidays, and I had I think it was August, and 4 or 5 people were out. So I was on the tools.
Yeah.
I was doing resourcing. And I remember I came home, my missus was like, you look really chirpy and happy. I was like, I'm doing recruitment again.
Yeah.
I love it. I do enjoy it, but I'm not doing that much of it now.
Well, one of my clients in Australia, the team have shrunk. I think he was about 22 people. He's down to 3. Mix of, I think he built such a strong brand, and then some people were living off him, and a couple have set up their own, and whatever reason, he scaled it back, and he's done. It's not sustainable, but he's built $260,000 since January. Yeah. On his own. Yeah. And he said the brand he's built, working with us, and the things he's learned, plus his natural skills is it's frightening how capable he is. And he's just literally putting stuff out on LinkedIn, people coming through, matching people up. He's he doesn't want to carry on at that complete doing the end to end he's doing, but he doesn't want to go to 20 people again. He's 3 or 4 around him. Yeah. His brand still does the majority of the hard, heavy lifting, but people taking away the bits that he doesn't need to do.
I think if you go back to, you touched on AI point there a minute ago. I don't think you need to have these massive teams anymore, because we have the technology to really streamline things. Some of the technologies that I've come across over the last 6 months can do the job of 5 people, and it doesn't get sick. It doesn't feel bad. It doesn't whatever. It doesn't bitch. Do you know what I mean? It does exactly what you tell it to do, and it does it.
The argument from most recruiters will be, but it's not human. It can't do the human bit.
No, I understand that, and I do still think that it's far away from becoming the end product. But we're in a position where technology has really come a long way, really, really come a long way, and it's developing to the point that I would say 5 to 10 years from now, we'll be in a position where there's going to be some really, really exciting stuff, because the stuff that I'm seeing now is just mad. madness.
I think it's 12 to 18 months is going to be so different to now. I think.
Yeah, I would agree. But I mean to the point where, like, for example, the AI agents that I've come across now, they still sound robotic.
Yeah.
You know, I think 5 years from now, there's going to be stuff you won't know.
No, you
won't be able to tell.
And that's frightening.
That's really
it's
worrying.
good, but frightening.
Yeah, that's worrying. That's the part that I'm like, okay, you know, and their ability to learn as well. You know, like the AI agents that I've come across recently, you talk to them and.
But if AI agents are recruiting, then AI agents can do the jobs that you're recruiting as well. So AI agents will be recruiting AI agents. Or building AI agents for each other. That's a weird world, isn't it?
No, I don't think so. Because as good as AI is, it's only as good as the human that's designed it. Unless, as you say, if we get to a point that these, you know, we get to iRobot and these machines can build themselves, then
I think we'll get there. I just hope it's not catastrophic. But I'm pretty confident that'll happen. Like they're saying the first $1 billion company with 1 employee is happening this year, and the first $1 billion company with no employees will happen in the next 5 years.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's mental. A truly AI company that's making that kind of revenue. What the fuck are they doing with it? Yeah. They don't spend it. They don't go on holiday.
But when you say with no employees, so ultimately there's a founder, right? There's someone that said
that's the first phase, but the next phase is an agent will create their own company. I don't know how. I don't get it. I'm not.
Where do the profits go?
Yeah.
Who has the profits?
No.
I love the profits.
Yeah, I'll take
agents. I am your friend.
Yeah. Should we make
Give me the money?
It's about bonding with it. But tell us. So what have you seen from the client base over the last 12 months? Like, what are they doing about AI? Because I genuinely believe this is the biggest like curtain that recruiters aren't seeing. They're thinking about all of their own shit. Mm-hmm. But if you're thinking about AI 10 to 20%, then your customers are doing it 80, 90%.
Absolutely.
And if you can build an agent to do your job, they'll be building agents to do their jobs.
Absolutely.
And so what are you seeing?
Yeah, you know, over the last probably 4 or 5 months, we've been having conversations with customers where they have actually said to us, look, we're launching this new tool. This is what we're looking at. You know, stuff that's going to sift through CVs for them, stuff that's going to do initial outreach. You know, there is still that miss from the human element, yes, because I know when it's not, to a certain extent, you have the gut feeling, right? But you can tell when someone's that's not quite right. That doesn't sound quite correct. Whereas AI can't really pick up on that, you know. And you can lie to AI, but you might struggle to lie to an experienced recruiter. Once if they're properly trained, they're properly qualifying something, you know. So, but I've seen things recently that I'm like, wow, you know. Like I said to you earlier about, you know, we've got an AI agent that we're building right now that we're launching that's going to do initial outreach for us. You know, you program it and you tell it, right, this is the pitch, and it calls. But it's not a recording; it's a full conversation.
Yeah,
you can ask it any question, and it will respond to you in real time, properly. You know, it's like Siri but for recruitment.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? It's mad when you think about it. It's not a closer, and it will. I don't think it's at the point where it will be a closer. I think ultimately, like with us, look out for it, guys. It's called Ag AI. But with us, ultimately, what it does is that initial outreach. You know, this is who I am. This is who I represent. Let me book a call with my director. You know, and then the next call will be with myself or one of my team.
Is that a more client tool?
That's a client tool.
Yeah.
You know, but also at the same time to help clean up our database. We've got a massive database of loads of people that we haven't spoken to for ages.
Just ring all of them.
Ring all of them.
Say, look, you're
ring all of them. Tell them. Find out what they're looking for. You know, you program it. Find out what they're looking for. Find out what they're interested in. Find out where they're located. So on and so forth. Have a conversation with them.
Update the system perfectly.
Update the system perfectly.
Code it up.
All the notes are done. Tag the CVs correctly. Done. Do you know what I mean? Easy. And I can do that. I can do 400 phone calls a day.
When I was in Dubai last week, one of my clients was sat there showing me his system, and he uses Atlas to the CRM that we sponsored with. And look, I've gone all in with Atlas because I think they're incredible. Mm-hmm. And he's showing me, right, and he could do the Zoom call with the client, which then, well, it's actually, Atlas has its own note taker, but it's like Otter or Fathom or whatever. It does all the recording, summarizes the notes, puts the recording and the notes into the CRM, builds the job project in Atlas for you because you picked up a requirement, puts the notes on the client and the job. It then goes in and does a CRM search and creates a shortlist automatically that match everything. So by the time he's got back to his office, or by the time he's finished his coffee,
half the job's done.
A lot of it's done. And now he's working on how to, if you're going to reach out to 40 people about a job, what's the next phase of that? How do we get that done within, again, some of them, there's an argument that some of them might still want that human interaction. But if you say the first reach 40, bam, 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 try and cover them, and then you're looking and go, right, who's replied, who's not? I'm going to go and ring 10 more. You've just shortcutted all of that to 10 calls.
And you're right. Some people will want initial human outreach, absolutely. But in a few years,
but where it's going is
they won't care.
No, but where it's going is that guy, and he's building it. I'm building one for me. Is an avatar, right? So that guy will have an avatar of himself. So it won't be like anyone else. I've seen your video online where you speak different languages. It looks so real. So it'll be like, it's Tom, my AI version of Tom, but it's Tom. I want to talk to you about this job. You know, it'll be Tom. It'll sound like Tom. It'll look like Tom. It'll be on a video. It'll have a face-to-face conversation, and it'll be open. Yeah, I'm an AI, but next phase you'll speak to the real Tom. And people, I think in a year or two, candidates, anyone, if you ring customer service at a company like British Gas or something, I think you're going to expect to speak to bots.
Absolutely.
And it won't be weird. Just like the thought of a bloody email was weird when it was all fax machines.
Yeah, and that's I think that's it. We are at the point. Maybe I don't know if I say our generation, probably the Gen Zs that are coming up. Gen Z, right?
Yeah.
The Gen Zs, I think they're in a position where it's going to be fully that. It's just going to be AI and no one's going to even blink. Everyone will be like, yeah, it's cool, it's normal. Here's what it is. The next call might be a call of a person.
Yeah.
You know? So I think for us as recruiters, we have to adapt.
How would you adapt?
It's evolve or become extinct. Simple as that. Like,
how would you evolve? Like, what's your vision for that?
All the stuff that we're doing right now. I think you have to lean into these things. Don't be that person that goes, oh no, I don't want the change, because the change is coming whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
So all the things that I say we're doing, AI tools, the BD stuff that we're looking at is just it's mad. Some of the things that it can do, because as you said, like your mate's tool that you just explained there, it does half the job for you. So whilst the other agency is still doing that half of the job, I've already done it.
Yeah, you're already.
I've already done it, and then I'm 2-3 steps ahead of you. And it's so competitive anyway. Do you know what I mean? Our markets are so competitive. It's very rare nowadays that you get something that's, especially how the market was last year, that's 100% exclusive or retained. So we're working, everyone is on pressure, time frame. This agency are working, Agnes Cole are working it, Red are working it, this one's working it. But I've done half the steps. It done it for me last night while I was asleep. While I woke up this morning, you're starting your CRM search. I've already got my shortlist.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? All my tools already spoken to them and reached out. Spoke to them yesterday.
And the bit that people are not seeing is if you take a company that hires 1,000 people now, they can do their own recruitment AI stuff, but they're going to AI their own employees to the point where they can cut ahead. Everyone's going to be looking at cost efficiencies and operational efficiencies, because, like you say, they don't sick, they don't make mistakes. So if a company makes 1,000 hires this year, in 2 years they might only make 100. So if you're in a market that's super competitive and there's 10% of the vacancies, you've got to be even better.
Absolutely.
And that's where I think brand, which is what we've been talking about for years, is more important, because I think people will go to the people they trust, and they'll go to... AI is creating less trust. So, I know now if I have an avatar of me reaching out to people that recognize me, there's more chance of them responding to me than another avatar of a guy they don't recognize. That's just a fact.
That, if I look back at the year that we had last year, and if I look at our new BD strategy this year, it's all around as many touch points as possible, because everyone is trying to pick up the phone and do the same thing. We're all calling and we're all saying we've got this database, we've got this global reach, we've got this, we've got this, we've got this, we've got this. Everyone's saying the same stuff. But if customers, Mr. Customer or Mrs. Customer has seen me 4 or 5 times before, I've sent them an email, I've done this, they know who I am.
And they buy into you.
Absolutely.
Like, some people won't, and that's okay. Some people are going to look at you, Leon, and be like, nah, he's not the one for me. But there'll be a lot.
I doubt it.
But some will go, I want to work with. Like, he's the kind of guy I want to work with. And that. So I genuinely, I'm going all in on brands. Brand and AI is everything this year.
Yeah, absolutely.
But authenticity within AI is also really important to me. Like, the thought of just automating everything so you lose that DNA. No, that's not important. That's really important.
I don't think you can't do that. And to be completely honest with you, this is why we're sort of in a position, I think, as recruiters, we're actually quite lucky, because it's not ready yet. The tech's not ready yet for it to be that. Yeah. So you might as well get involved now. If you can't beat them, join them. Join them. Use the tools to your best advantage, and be in a position where you're riding the wave as opposed to being crushed by it.
I also think as well, like, there's nothing wrong with the exit strategy everyone has. But what are people buying in 5 years?
Yeah.
Like, are you buying a business with 50 people? Or is that a threat? Is that a big load of cost? Like, I did a post last week, and the people jumping on it, there's loads of positives, and there's loads of people like, basically, Sean, you don't understand what it takes to scale. And I'm like, yeah, and all of this is true. Everything you're saying is right in the world that we lived in, and even today to a degree. But in 5 years, it's not going to look the same. So all the rules go out the fucking window. Literally, they're all gone. And I think to myself, if I'm really honest, I want to earn my wealth over the next 5 years while it's being figured out. Because if it all ends up being automated, I ain't waiting on an exit. I'll build something that's exit. There's a potential of that. That's the goal for, I think, most people. But I want to earn my exit on the way. Do you know what I mean?
Makes sense. Definitely.
Why not?
Definitely. I mean, look, I don't think it is it's not doomsday, personally, for me. And I think even with the technology coming in, as humans and as skilled people, there's always going to be a job. There's always going to be an occupation. I just think we need to be in a position where we're embracing these things,
it's
as
gonna
opposed to shying away from them.
But if you think about it, like you've already said, the people that get to 12, 15, 20, 30, 40 heads, there's different clicks and dynamics that you didn't really enjoy. So you're probably more comfortable. What have you got now in the business? 6, 7? 8. So you feel a bit more comfortable.
Absolutely.
But that 8 could probably do 5 times the revenue if you get it right.
Absolutely. And that's it.
And most of the recruitment owners I know, they don't really want a 50-man business.
Yeah.
They're probably happier in that small company.
And
they're making more money. I'm like, it's actually a really big opportunity, not a threat if you lean in.
I think in the beginning, as I say, I kind of looked at it and I was like, yeah, I want to have this massive organization, and a lot of that was ego. Because
we all thought that's the only way to scale.
That's how you do it. You know, if I've got 50 people and they're all doing 200 grand a year, I'm rich. You know, but you know, as you said, you know, you could have 8 people doing 5 times the revenue that they could be doing.
Mate, I'm sat here on this show for the last 5 years, listening to 350 episodes, and the amount of times I've listened and thought, my ego's flaring, my chimp's going. I'm like, I'm not ambitious enough compared to you, like the guy on the other end who wants to grow and scale and 100 million exits. But then I keep going back to what I actually want. Like, it's not about what's possible. Like, of course, I could put everything into a business and exit, and maybe I will, or maybe I won't. But I actually don't want it. Like, I don't want to wake up and give away my life 80% of the time
and not enjoy it.
No.
And not enjoy it.
No. I want to get up, go to the gym, exercise, jump in my cold plunge, take my kid to school, whack out 6 to 8 hours of really high productive work, and then have dinner with them. You know, I want
do something that you're. As I say, I think last year for me was a take stock year and actually think about what it is that I'm doing this for, you know, and then I had to sit back and go, okay, what do I want? Do I want to have freedom? Yes. Do I want to be in a position that I'm happy? Yes. Do I, you know, look at all these things and then make a decision about what I want? And, you know, you never know what's going to happen. We might get to the point where, I don't know, I might get to 30 employees, or I might end up doing something else and whatever else, and then think, no, I'm going to exit now. Maybe that's going to happen, but maybe not.
I think there's more chance of Arsenal winning the league.
Listen, you're a City fan. Don't hit me with that. Listen, I needed a favour from you this weekend. I was like, come on, City. Come on, man.
Nah. It's done, mate.
This finished now.
Yeah, it's done.
Do you know what? Liverpool,
Fair play.
you can have it, all right?
Yeah.
Have it.
Yeah.
We'll talk next year. We need a striker.
We talk about succession and people.
Yeah.
Van Dijk and Salah.
Yeah.
They're both not going to be there in a few years.
Yeah, but they're still there now.
They're the best in the world in their positions,
Yeah.
and they're not going to be there in 5 years. So that's what was happening to City. We had De Bruyne, we had Vincent Kompany, you know, we had David Silva, we had Aguero, all these players, and they've all just gone whoop. And then we've not recruited the same standard. We've got a few good ones, but we're nowhere near the standard. And they might eventually come good, but I think Liverpool will go through that. I think all teams do. You did it with the.
We did it.
You did it with the. It took you 25 years to
But
get back.
we're still not even at the point that we need to be at as a club. You know, I think the issue is of Arsenal is that they just don't. They don't. I don't know if it's ambition or what. I think the coaching staff is ambitious enough, but I think the owners, I don't think that. It's not that they're not ambitious. I'm sure they are, but for them, they probably look at it and go, you know, we can spend 100 million and we can come second and still have loads of sponsorship money and this and this and this and this and this, or we can spend 300 million and come first, and but how much more money we're really going to make, and this and this and this.
But you know what though, football I think is, for me, it's changed over the years with business, with life. Like, I don't I mean, I love it, and I'll get so excited when we're winning in that, but you can't let it control you.
Absolutely.
You can't have those Mondays where you're down. Like when England went out of the Euros, people's reactions were just mental.
Yeah.
And I'm like, at the end of the day, luckily I've seen so many wins for City in the last 10 years. Trust me, when you win that league, you have a nice evening on a Sunday and you're like, by Monday it's gone.
Absolutely.
And no one cares who won the league the year before. Instantly, it's the rat race again. Like recruitment, you're only as good as your last deal. So football is what it is, like. And I think the more you understand, like, life is about the journey and just enjoying the little moments and creating every day, every week works. I think that's more, for me personally, that's more about success.
I would be inclined to agree with that. That's probably the thing that I actually enjoy the most about recruitment. I enjoy the journey. You know, if you think about the recruitment process, there's so many endorphin hits throughout that process.
Yeah.
You know, pitching, initial pitch, try and get the client. Oh yeah, got the client, cool. Pull a roll, endorphin hit. Then you've got to try and find the candidate. You find the candidate, but you've got competition. This one I'm looking at as well. Another endorphin hit. Then you get an interview. Then you might get a deal, or it's an anticlimax and you don't.
Yeah.
Then you got to do it all again. I love that.
Yeah,
I enjoy that journey.
And it's all your mood can be so determined by external factors.
Yeah.
You get that one email back and it's good news. You're like, bosh. You get the bad news and you're like, gone. Colours drained out.
Yeah, but that's something that I've been trying to control more and more and more. A friend of mine, he's got a really successful state agency, and he said to me, don't make it so your clients and all of them are getting the best part of you, and then your missus and your team are getting the worst because of bad news and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And that's something that I've been really, and that really resonated with me. So I'm like, if something bad happens, I'm like, yeah. Maybe it's good news, maybe it's bad news. It is what it is. We'll keep going. Do you know what I mean?
Keep going.
Yeah, keep going.
So what does this year look like?
This year for me is, as I say, AI. Loads of AI stuff. Being more efficient, having fun, adding to the team, of course, because we're going to be adding some more, but not going crazy. Just taking stock, enjoying the moment, enjoying what it is that I do, and doing more stuff like this. As I say, I think. You've been saying to me for ages to come on stuff like this.
And get yourself out there in this way.
Yeah, no, you have. It's important to do stuff like this, especially, if we go back to the beginning again, I was quite lucky that I had, as I said, my old boss, Mike, but some people don't, and some people want to start something, and it's like, it feels like it's so, like, impossible. I remember when I first started, I remember talking to a lady that I used to work with, and I said to her, I'm going to do a recruitment company, and she said to me, have you looked up how many companies fail in the first 2 years? And I thought, well, that's such a mad thing to say to someone. Yeah, that's a crazy thing to say. Why would I be looking at how many people fail?
Did she know you?
Yeah, I worked with her. Like, how many people fail? I would look at people, how many people were successful. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And like, you can do it. Anyone can do it. I can do it. Sean can do it. Anyone can do it. And that's like, I'm really big on empowering people and give it a go. You don't have to have the traditional recruitment, career where you've worked your way up to associate director, then you did 10 years in this massive organization and did this and managed teams and done this. You can just get there, give it a go. If it doesn't work out, try something else or try again. What's the worst that could happen, really?
Well, that's probably the thing that people fear the most, is what could happen. Mm-hmm. It rarely does, and even if it does,
but is it ever really that bad?
No, you'll work it out.
That's the thing. Is it ever really that bad?
No.
I think the thought of things happening are always so much worse than what actually happens. And as I say, I was quite lucky in the sense that I had, parents that just put it all on the line. And like, you think for a 21-year-old woman to move from the other side of the world with 3 children, that's mad. No qualifications, nothing, and build something. So for me, I just kind of have that
desire, though.
It's
desire.
And so for me, I kind of have that in me where I'm like, what's the worst that could happen?
Did you ever go back to Zimbabwe?
I've not been for a long time. My grandma passed away, and that was like the last person that I used to go and see. But apart from that, do you know what? I need to take my son. So my son, they've got like an interactive board at school, and they said they looked at all the countries. There's a little boy who's Nigerian. There's another little boy who's Indian. So they looked at India on the map, and then they looked at Zimbabwe. And he was like, came home and he was like, Daddy, I want to go to Zimbabwe. I was like, all right, cool, we'll go. So we've been talking about it a lot. So I will take.
Well, my wife's half Jamaican, and the kids Their dad's also half Jamaican.
Have you been to Jamaica?
I've been once on a cruise, but I'm taking them in April.
Oh,
None of them have been. Even my wife's dad, who was born in England, but his family came over like the year before. He's never been. He's still got family there and stuff. So I'm excited.
I'd love to go Jamaica. I love Jamaican food. Jamaican food
is insane.
Caribbean food is my favorite food, man. And I hate to admit it, all right? Caribbean food is better than African food. It's the one time you're going to eat. That's an exclusive.
I've never really had... I mean, I've had jollof rice and stuff.
Jollof rice, yeah, but jollof rice...
I've never had much else African food, really.
It depends where you go. Like, we're Southern African, right? So in Southern Africa, it's a bit different. We eat something, it's called... what we call it sadza, but other people call it pap, which is it's like a maize meal thing, which is good. But yeah, personally, Caribbean food, man.
Caribbean's the boss.
I'm gonna get Caribbean food today because that's what happens when you live out in the sticks. So when I come to London, I stock up.
I had Middle Eastern last night on Brick Lane.
Yep.
Don't do it. I literally was throwing up in the night. And
you went to the wrong place, mate.
Middle Eastern food is good. Everyone else had mixed
place.
grill, and I had this like lamb thing, and then but I did have like there's this chocolate shop over the side of the road, and I had this 85% dark chocolate, hot chocolate. And I love that stuff, and it was so rich. But I've not slept. I definitely didn't drink enough water. I've eaten some random food, and then I've had that, and I've just woke up being sick in my hotel room. I was like, oh God. So you saying Caribbean food actually, for the first time, has made me feel a bit sick. Normally, I'd be like, my wife's mutton is the best.
Oh, bro.
Caribbean.
I love Caribbean.
I'll let you know how we got on in Jamaica.
Absolutely, man.
Well, mate, look, thanks for coming on. Thanks for being so honest. You know, there's a lot of people out there that relate to your story, and you know, I guess my final question would be if we were to bring you on in the future, what would you be wanting to say? What does good look like for you?
To be honest, what I'm doing now is good.
So more of the same.
Yeah, more of the same, man. More of the same. I want to be in a position where I hope I don't know, I'd love to see someone and they say, oh, I saw you on this podcast, or I saw this and I thought that, and I thought that's really cool, because especially for like me as a young black man as well, I think it's important you can do things, man. There's things out there. There's options. There's loads of options, so if I can inspire anyone.
And if anyone wants to reach out to you on LinkedIn, it's okay.
Please. That for me, absolutely. Anyone at all, reach out to me on LinkedIn if you want to discuss how I got to here, what I'm doing, my thoughts on anything. I don't know everything, but I know enough of what I do because I somehow managed to get here and I'm doing all right.
It's working.
It's kind of working, so yeah.
Well, look, let's get you on in the future and let's see if it's more of the same.
Cool, perfect. Thank you, my man. Thank you for having me.
Pleasure.
Cheers.
Thank you as always for listening to today's show. I truly hope that you got value from it. Honestly, it's the only reason I take time every week to ensure that my audience, you guys, future and existing recruitment owners, you're learning from each other to make this industry that I love so much stronger. And today's episode is brought to you by my business, Hoxo. I'm the CEO and founder, and we're on a mission to help brand recruitment agencies and their people better. I want to help people have the